For the video? Okay. But it doesn't amplify my voice at all. Okay.
Just for the camera.
Oh, just for the camera. All right. Here we go. Good evening. I'm Officer Mario Lozoya from the Desert Horizon Precinct. I'm sorry, I just came from another meeting as well. But I'm prepping stats for you guys. One thing that we did for Charlie has
Consoling?
502 No, Charlie, 502 West Camelback. I'm trying to think.
Oh,
No, not Medlock.
I know. Oh, God.
I'm getting a blank right now.
Yeah, I am
okay,
too.
Anyway, for his neighborhood, we did a year.
Melrose, thank
Melrose.
you.
We did a year review for their block watch. They really liked it, so I tried to get those numbers for you guys as well. And what we brought together, I brought from 2014 to 2015 from this time period. So I just went a year back. And then a year back from that. What I went ahead and did is I pulled up the top 4 calls for the area. So our number one call for the area, which received just under 1,000 calls for the year, was of check welfare. And check welfares range from somebody's passed out at a bus stop all the way to I see a kid banging on a window in a house. You know, it could be anything. What it changes after that, these are just the original labels of the call. An officer then, once he gets there, he can then change the label of the call to a burglary, to X, to Y, to Z, whatever, after it's investigated. The second thing was a suspicious person. Suspicious person, once again, that could be anything as well. Label number 3 was a fight. And a fight can range anywhere from 2 people having a verbal argument to an actual physical altercation. And our 4th top call for the year was trespassing. So let's just say for the 4th top, we received over 500 calls. So we're ranging somewhere from the top call being just under 1,000 to the 4th call being just over 500. So that was
14, 15?
This was from, what are we looking at? May. So we're looking from May 2014 to May 2015. Mm-hmm. So in comparison to that, then we went May 2015 to May 2016, and they almost mirror each other. Because number 1 was check welfares again, which were just under 1,000. Number 2, suspicious people. Number 3 were fights, and number 4 were trespassings. So they stayed pretty common. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to go through and see, well, those all kind of seem the same. And for the most part, throughout any community, they tend to be like that when we have the volume call that we have here. One thing that I did notice, so from 2014 to 2015, the officer initiated stops. So that's personal contact. Whenever we see somebody and we stop out and we generate that call, there isn't somebody calling, and it's just we see something and we get out, hey, can I talk to you for a second? From 2014 to 2015 was 242. And then from 2015 to 2016 was 360.
Wow.
So I think we had the VIP project going on, and that allowed us to generate those extra 100 calls. I wish I would have had more time because I would have been able to go through each one of those and determine what came out of those. Was it positive? Was it negative? Were we able to get warrants? And that's usually what we end up finding from those original calls that get broadcast or that we generate. We end up finding dope, warrants, different things, stolen items that we can then generate into another call. And then the other chart that we had was, I think I already said that, 242 versus 360. And then as far as vehicle stops, we had 270 from 2014 to 2015, and then 310 for 2015 to 2016. So just to kind of give you guys a range of what's going on out there, what we're doing, and what we're trying to accomplish. I think from 2014 to now, we're kind of staying a little bit up and down. We may be going a little bit lower with officers that we have on the street. But we've also been lucky enough to now start to get officers in training out at the precincts and start to slowly incorporate them out onto different squads and getting them out there so they can be solo capable. So did you have
I
something for me?
had those I wanted you to.
Okay, identify 2 internet cafes and work to shut them down. So 6,000 North 23rd Avenue. That's just north of
Just north of Bethany.
Bethany home. So we've gone in there and we've made multiple arrests already, myself personally, with Officer McKinster and Lieutenant. And it's just a matter of now trying to develop enough information to go through with the right squads to be able to pinpoint what kind of criminal activity that we have. Because it's not like we're street cops, you know. We know what to look for when we're looking at. I can tell you what meth looks like. I can tell you what the characteristics of somebody that's using methamphetamine looks like. It's real simple. Possession of methamphetamine, possession of marijuana. When we start to get into these higher end crimes, I won't say higher end, but more sophisticated crimes, you need officers that are specialized in that. And we're definitely working on that to try and get to the bottom of it and to determine what we have. Yes, sir.
I wasn't quite sure. Is this a house or an apartment complex, or what is it? This address you're talking about?
It's a business.
It's a business.
Yeah, it's a business. Now, I don't know how much I'm allowed to give out up here, but
It's an internet cafe,
yeah, but Pam knows a lot more of it, and she can give you.
which
Yeah.
means it's not a place with computers. It's not a place with computers where you're going to go in and sit down and look stuff up. It's really illegal gambling. There's a lot of drug sales that go in those places. There's a lot of people hanging around in those places that we do not want hanging around in the neighborhood. So it's not a nice business. And between Desert Horizon and Cactus Park, we've been trying to get these internet cafes closed as fast as they open up. But they open up very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Where is this at again?
You know where Stop and Shop is?
Are you talking about next door?
Yes.
That's the place that has all the activity at
Yes, in the middle of the night.
o'clock in the middle of the night, and they always go to the back of the
Yeah.
building.
They come out that back fence all the time.
To live just right down the street. 'Cause I
So,
follow them.
in those situations, what really helps us out is when the community continues to call that in. So when you do see that activity there, call us in. I know a lot of times we get community saying, well, we don't want to bother you, nothing ever happens, blah, blah, blah. I personally have been in there on calls when we've gotten them from the community, and it gives us just a little bit more teeth to get in there and say, well, when somebody says, well, why are you guys harassing us? It's not. It's us going through investigating calls that are coming in from concerned citizens of the community. So it gives us the opportunity to get back there, investigate even further, and see what we can get out of there. So please put the calls in. That's what we're here for. It doesn't bother us. That's what we're here to do.
And if you don't call it in, it didn't happen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, there were two separate instances of gunfire.
Mhm.
One at 3 a.m. in the morning on a Thursday, and then the following Thursday, there were two more.
Mm-hmm.
Did that, I called in twice. Was anything come out of that? Or
I'd have to look into it further to see see what it was. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
yeah, well, they haven't happened since, but
Okay.
it was every Thursday.
So let me write that down so that I do have it and I can research it for you. You said it was Thursday night, sir?
Yeah, but that was a week ago, not
So,
2
Thurs-
weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Since he heard it too. Yeah.
You guys remember a date?
Uh,
Okay, so let's say actually it was Friday morning then at about 03, you said?
Thursday morning.
Thursday morning about 03. And can you give me an address?
Well,
23rd and
Where-
Barrage, roughly.
Yeah.
Was very, very, very loud.
Oh,
At my house.
big gun.
April 21st.
What?
So I have
probably the gambling place.
I have April 21st, which is
On this side.
Thursday at about 0300 hours.
Right, and then the following week, same thing.
Same incident. So
2 a.m.
2 a.m. Okay, so what I'll try and do is I'll try and pull up those calls for service and see what came out of it. So what happens usually with those calls is once a community member puts that in, an officer that's available comes through, and we try our best to determine. Now, when we just get one call, well, then our central focus is from where that call originated from or from where they're pointing us out, just south. So we'll go just south and kind of just cruise those blocks and see if we see anything outstanding. If we get multiple calls, well, then we try and pinpoint it. If a call came in here and a call came in here and then a call north and south, well, then we assume that if they're giving us the general direction in the middle, then we'll try and focus our efforts on there. But then again, that comes that situation. The more calls we get in, the more information we get, the better off we are going to be successful in determining who's doing this, where they're doing it, and how we can stop it. And I'll get back to you. I'll forward that email over to Pam, and then do you have his information so we can
Yep.
get it to him? Yeah, yes, sir.
On back to the internet cafe, you said call in. I mean, just because we see people there, we can't call that in. What can we call in to report?
So, for example, the gunshots.
Well, yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. If you see, for example, I don't know what time the business is closed there, but if they are going to be closed, you know, should there be activity there? Hey,
No, there's
Yeah.
people coming out of there. Maria's a little night owl, and so she comes back from, her son plays in a band, so she comes out at like 2, 3 in the morning, and she'll see kids, really young people coming out of the back of that building, and they've always got a couple guys standing guard out front, and then these kids come out and they've got a rolling fence that they lock back up, and so there's something
so
real
if it's
hinky
juveniles,
going
like
on.
if you see juveniles late at night, that's something to put in for us. Hey, I see a bunch of kids on bikes calling, you know, that's past their curfew time. That's something for us to go out and investigate. There's so many things that we've investigated from that are small that end up flourishing
Big.
into something big.
Okay, now if they barbecue on their front sidewalk
Yes,
out there,
yes.
now I know it's not legal, but is that something the police are gonna look at?
If they barbecue on
They have a big rotisserie like some of the restaurants do,
Uh-huh.
where they do a bunch of chicken.
uh-huh.
But they're not a restaurant and they don't have food handlers permits.
Yeah, that wouldn't be something that
I
we
know,
would.
you're not gonna investigate it,
Yeah.
but still,
I think it was for a grand opening because
Oh.
they've now.
No, it's all the time.
All the time?
Yeah, I see them almost every weekend.
Because I always see them between 11:30 and maybe 2 in the morning, because I go to the Shell station. And
I've never seen the rotisserie thing, but I'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, you might like
yeah.
it.
No, I can assure you, I probably won't be eating a rotisserie chicken out of there. But no, that's not something we wouldn't investigate that. However, when we go through and we do contact, the time that Officer McKinster and I were back there, we were there on a contact for a suspicious person. And once we got back there, we ended up finding somebody who had illegal drugs on him and had a warrant. So we were able to take, I want to say we took at least 2 people to jail that night. You know, so from a suspicious person call, that's what generated that.
can we
Yeah.
call in and just say we see a suspicious person?
Well, they're gonna ask you. No, there was a description as to what I couldn't recall exactly what it was, but there's a description as to, you know, why they're gonna ask you why are they suspicious. You know, what activity are they doing that makes them suspicious, and that's where you have to be descriptive in what you say, because somebody on a bike, that's not suspicious. You know,
They'll
because
turn you down, because
Yeah.
I've called about dumpster diver, 2 houses down, the house was purchased, and the dumpster was in the driveway,
Mhm.
and the people, I'm like, hey, you can't do this, but they were allowed to be there.
Mhm.
And so they were yelling at me, they were trying to provide for their family. I said, I don't care, this is ugly
yeah.
in our cul-de-sac.
Mhm.
And the officer said, no, they have all the right to be doing whatever they want to do right there. I'm like,
Well,
Okay.
if they were given permission by the owner, then
well, it was
Then-
just like, I think it was like one of those we buy ugly houses people.
uh-huh.
And so it was like, and so the only thing I could do was call the dumpster number
Mhm.
and have them unload it.
Mhm.
And then they were gone. I'm like, all right, well, I'll do it. At least I can do that.
So that's the kind of tactics that we got to try and figure out to
Yeah.
avoid these kind of behavior in the future.
Right.
It's not always about just the illegal and the illegal, or the legal and the illegal. There's a lot of things that people are calling us in for, like, well, that looks ugly, and it's like, well, we got to be careful what we do on that, you know, because as a department, do we then start to like, oh well, she doesn't like your shirt. You need to, you need to do something about it. We need to respect people's rights. It's like,
Isn't
it,
that-
it-
Got on an ugly shirt.
Maryland school, I'll see people and I'm like, and it's someone's parent.
Right.
And I'm just like, okay, I can't call the cops on this. All I can do is know that even like there's a kid who needed a bike. My daughter's like, hey, they need their bike fixed. I'm like, no, that's a parent's responsibility. I can't take my wrench to school with me or a knife to fix something.
obviously there's relationships that you need to build and
Right,
people you could trust with
exactly. It's
to
like-
say, hey, I know you, you know me,
Right.
just like neighborly. Like this weekend, I needed a basin wrench, so I sent out a text to my neighbors. Anybody got a basin wrench? Oh yeah, I got one. Okay, so I went over. I
It's
even
just hard in, in this day and age to know, what is a police call and what is just somebody down and out.
And I tell you what, it's becoming even difficult for us as police officers because we're now getting calls that we're like, we're reading them and like, what are we supposed to do with this? Like, I don't even know what this is. However, we still have to go. And then we get there and we figure out this isn't a police matter, but we have to try and either calm the situation, find a solution to the situation, do something, even if it's just try and give somebody information as to where they can receive some help. You know, and sometimes it revolves around taking them down to get a mental evaluation. Sometimes it's taking them somewhere to get a car seat because they don't have a car seat for their kid. You know, it's not always just this didn't have a car seat, give them a citation. Well, we're not really resolving an issue
Did you call
here.
crime stop
Yeah.
about a dog in a car?
Now you can,
You know, it's like
but we have that. People call
I've seen
because
that over in Arcadia, and I'm like, huh? What do you do? It's nice outside, but still.
yeah, and we try and make the best determination. We have that a lot. People call us in because there's kids in a car. Well, then we'll go because we have to check on the welfare of the kids. But the kid's a 10-year-old sitting in there just texting away while the AC's on. Now that person might say, I don't think that's right. Okay, but the overall well-being of the kid, is he fine? Is the kid responsible enough to say, you know, I'm good, I can roll down the window? So that's how we have to make that determination. Every case is a little bit different. Yes, ma'am.
This is a FYI. Last Friday, we were having a family thing. We're getting ready to go to a restaurant and celebrating my son-in-law's becoming a fireman. And my grandson on 23rd, there's an allergist there, so he went and got his allergy shots, and he was coming up to our house in the condos right there, and a person in a white SUV stopped and tried to get him into the car, and so he ignored it, and the car went in front of him, and the person cuts him off and gets out of this SUV and comes at him like this. Of course, he's 14, so he's out of there really fast. So then he goes over to his dad's and comes over to our house. So it's about an hour's time in between there. So, of course, we made him call the police. But I want to say it was at least a couple hours before the police came there. So
And in a situation like
it
that,
was like late.
like I
but
said, we
just
have to
aware.
deal with the threat levels, and we triage everything that we do, priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3. In a situation like that, where an hour has gone by,
That guy's not
that guy,
around.
you know, long gone. We don't have that sense of urgency where we need to get there right away because we need to try and determine what's going on and see what we can locate immediately. Once that urgency is gone, it's just replaced by something else. It's not that we look at it and say, we'll get to it
How
whenever.
many calls
Yeah.
does it take to really get people there quick?
Well, no, it could be one. It could be one mom
Depends
saying,
on what it is.
it could be one mom calling saying, my baby is not breathing.
Had they taken that, because we had a
kid,
drive-by
it would've
shooting once, and I
Yeah.
called.
Yes, it would have definitely. Now we still have a sense of urgency. They take the kid. Now our sense of urgency, we need to find the kid.
Or if the kid had gone right to Nancy's and called right now,
Yes.
Still would have been,
Yes.
because he was at 23rd, we live over here by the
yeah,
time.
so
So
there's a sense
there
of
is
urgency.
no black and white formula. It's
Yeah.
triage. How do we do it?
Yeah.
What's urgent?
But
Huh?
whoever it was dangerous, so just beware. There's somebody driving around and it was a white SUV.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I know
Thank
you
you.
guys' last meeting, so enjoy your summer. Have a good one.
And you are invited to our ice cream social on Saturday, the 4th
What are
of
we doing?
June.
Oh, the June. Okay, I was gonna say this week because we
No.
have the bazaar
World Bazaar,
this Saturday.
which I'm going to talk about
Yeah,
again.
So okay, thank you very much for your guys'
Thank
time.
you.